Yeah, I don't want to.
Frustrated here.
I got to wait till it turns on. It's going
Mm-hmm.
up, it's turning on, and then I got to turn it off. Otherwise, I get two different kinds of noises coming through. Hold on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, buddy. Come on.
So
Zoom to YouTube.
Zoom to YouTube.
Done redirecting. And now is it on? Yeah, it is on. Okay, we're good. Okay. Well, why don't you get started, pal?
Okay, good morning. You're listening to Recovery Radio. We're tuned in separate locations. You got John Case down in the Harvest Ferry and James Boyd in Belleville, New Jersey. Welcome to Recovery Radio.
It's a beautiful day here.
Yes, it's a beautiful day here as well, John. The optics from my vantage point are very good today. But there's some stuff, the underlying stuff is what we don't see. And so that's what we're going to be talking about this morning. How you doing down there?
Well, it's we have the puppy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as you know, when you have a new baby or something, right? It's consuming. I mean, it's a lot of work, right? I mean,
yes,
especially if you don't want it to crap all over the.
Yeah.
As my oldest son referred to it, the other little dog is, the first week was a crap. What do you say? A craptocalypse.
A crap
I have an apocalypse.
Oh,
a crapocalypse.
Yeah, craptopolis like kofufu.
Well, that you take it to the vet, you come home and they didn't really tell you that they gave it a bunch of worming drugs. Oh my God.
Did they supply toilet paper and
well, no, and as you know, that's kind of a problem unless you're one of the hoarders these days, right?
You don't want to share with your puppy. Well, he could probably use the leaves outside.
Well, it was really that one day, because the dog, like when you give them those drugs, it comes with that warning, right? I mean, they don't really.
Yeah.
Right.
But do they wipe? They wipe their butts after they're done.
Yeah, sometimes on your shoe and
I was getting ready to say, or carpet. If you got
carpet,
a carpet,
I know.
Dragging that thing across the carpet.
Right. So anyway, but that was one bit. But other than that, I mean, the dog's been really.
What kind of dog is it?
It's a mix of. What is it? It's like part corgi, like the Queen's.
Oh yeah.
Sheepdog, and then it's part beagle, and I think it's got some terrier in it because it's got kind of a brindle coloring, like dark, but with this little like ribbons of orange underneath.
How big is he?
No, I don't know. Little dog, that's going to be well, I mean, the terrier is what, 12 pounds. A corgi's 23 or 4. A beagle's 30. So it's going to be somewhere in there. And it has the features of all three dogs. It's got a beagle nose.
Mm-hmm.
It's got beagle ears. It's got legs and stuff like a corgi. Short,
man.
And it's not as long as a corgi, thank God, because those dogs get bad backs, I think, when they jump off beds and whatnot.
Yeah, I wonder what neighborhood is he going to be able to live in with all those nationalities?
He's like right. He's like not going to be able to get a green card. Clearly, he's not
going to be allowed in some housing areas.
No, he's
not. Going to have to keep him down there with you, man.
No, I know,
But if he come up to New York, you bring him up to New York.
Well, and even though he's got white paws and this orange thing going on, he's mostly black. He's mostly black, so he probably,
he's in trouble because the blacks are going to reject him as well.
Well, yeah, your complexion is too white. Your complexion is too white.
They're not going to trust him.
Right. Come up here and stand in the light. Your complexion is much too white.
Yeah. Are you cutting the line? How are you going to get in front of me? Because you're white.
Well,
but, we gotta take a serious look at that. Man, I heard stuff this morning. First of all, let me back up a little bit and welcome all the listeners, the 5 that I do have. I want to thank God for you guys listen and talk to me about the show and how I can improve it. And I'm taking heed and just writing stuff down. And John and I are moving very slowly with this because every time we get one topic, the universe switches to another topic.
Yeah.
And
Plus we're getting old. Plus we're getting old, and we have
we're
to.
getting
We're
old.
struggling to keep up.
We gotta do stuff now, today.
That's right.
All the,
You know,
yeah, the
you want me
debilitating
to
drug of
you
graduate.
want me to commit to some 6-month program? I may
Yeah,
not be
yeah,
here
yeah.
in 6 months, man.
But I tell you, I'm hopeful that these people are going to give me a 30-year mortgage. But you can't let them
Yeah.
hear that. But at 70, I don't know. You know, even if you got a little money, they might not give you a 30-year mortgage easily.
I don't think they don't care as long as you can pay them, as long as you're breathing. You know, then
That's
then the
okay.
property's an
But I'm
asset.
safe.
It can be sold. They're good. You know, right?
So I'm safe, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the thing I want to start with, John, this morning is I don't know if I heard it or if I was sleepwalking. They found 2 young black men hanged in separate locations.
I heard that. I heard one in Kentucky.
Yeah, one in Kentucky. There's another guy was like 20 or 30 some miles from that same town.
Cops are claiming it's a suicide.
Yeah, they're claiming it's suicide. That's what they're saying. And I don't know. I mean, and the policeman that gave the update, he looked as confused and perplexed to me as I felt when I heard it. Like, what the hell is going on with this man? But they're going to take another look at it. These couple of guys that's been hung.
Yeah, I think they should.
I was headed out to my walk in the park, and I usually go up right after the sun comes up. And so once I got in the park and was surrounded by all those trees and those dark spots,
yeah,
my paranoia kicked in. Right, so
I
hope 4 or 5 white guys don't come out of these bushes. And
look at that. What happened to that pastor? What about the pastor? And
I didn't hear that one. Tell me.
that was where he. Okay, I'm not going to remember exactly. He was doing something in his front yard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and these bunch of guys come by and start 4 or 5 white guys come by and started insulting him, you know, and I don't know. He goes inside and gets a pistol.
Oh.
Okay, and orders them off the yard. Okay. Mm-hmm. In the meantime, someone has called 911. The cops come and, of course, arrest the pastor.
Oh, for having a gun.
Well, I don't know. They just arrest him. Okay, they don't even listen to what happened, and then and while these guys are, you know, weighing in on the side, you know, calling him all kinds of names and shit. And so then they take him downtown, and they find out it's all BS, right? It's his weapon, it's his property. You know, these guys are, and so they apologize to him. But, you know, hey, what about the 5, you know, jerks, right? What about them?
Right.
And 2 days later, they just, you know, after someone comes down on them, they go out and arrest these guys for a hate crime at this point. Okay. But I mean, it just was oh my God. You know.
The cart before the horse, all the time in this country, cart before the horse. And so, it just started me reflecting this morning and all, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time because I want to talk about recovery and what's going on. But I just want to share this, is that when I first moved to West Virginia, in the Eastern Panhandle, I was riding in my car one day. I just turned off of Queen Street, going on to the connector, the overpass. And so this policeman jumped in behind me, and I was doing about probably 3 or 4 miles less than the speed limit. Speed limit is probably 25 over there. And so I was moving along, and he pulled out behind me, and he pulled me up halfway through the bridge. It was probably around dusk. And so he got out of the car, and I'm a Vietnam veteran. So I always wear something that says that I'm a Vietnam veteran, and, because I'm proud of that. And so he comes up to the car, a young upstart, and he looks at me. Of course, I got my hands in the, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And so he said to me, do you know why I stopped you? And I said, no, sir, I don't. He said, because you were swerving when you turned that corner, and looked like you was, intoxicated or impaired. And they told us, this is what he said. He said, and they told us that we need to stop you all when y'all come through here driving like that. And so I said, well, officer,
Y'all.
I wasn't right. I wasn't speeding or anything. He said, you were, he said, what did he say? I was crossed the middle. No, I was impeding traffic, first of all, by going too slow. And then he said I was halfway to middle or something. But
Right.
the citation in those words is on the ticket. I didn't know that. So we go on, and I was trying to tell him that I apologize for if I did whatever I did. He said, you one of those Vietnam veterans? And I said, yes, sir, I am. I am a Vietnam veteran. He said, you ever killed anybody? And he said, and it was two people in my back seat, by the way. So he said, you ever killed anybody? And I looked at him in surprise, and I said, yeah, I've killed a few people. I'm a Vietnam veteran, combat veteran. It says so on my jacket. And he said, well, I could take that any way I want to. Like that. And I said, officer, I think we got off on the wrong foot. But anyway, after back and forth, he gave me a citation. Now, when I went to court, this is in Martinsburg, I went to court, and I got to tell you, I went in there and I was humble, and I said obviously the right things, because the judge, he didn't throw it completely out, but I was just glad he didn't give me any points. But he embarrassed that police guy, and the policeman, I see him to this day, and he always do like this to me when I see him at the 7-Eleven or in Martinsburg before
What does that mean? I'm watching you all the time.
I'm watching you. But before I started going into the mayor's office and showing up at the police station and walking into this guy and seeing him on the streets in Martinsburg, he was like, to me, he was on the hunt. He never did stop me anymore.
He wasn't one of the five, was he?
No, he wasn't one of those, but he was certainly.
But he was their brother. He was their brother.
He was their brother. When he got in court, the things that he said, I disputed him, and he didn't realize that there was two people sitting in my back seat when he was going through all of this, and there was no body cam available. But when I went into court, so I got that out of the way. And then the second thing that I experienced, I was working for Callahan Counseling, and this is what I call my experience with the shoot first, ask questions later. So Peter Callahan, and I'm going to say his name, I'll call a thing, he fired me without getting the evidence that he needed to fire me. And he just fired me because he could do it. And this is what he shared with me. I got to let you go because you did this and you did that. But I did nothing wrong, but I got fired. So I took him to court, whooped his ass.
Oh,
so yeah, Peter Callahan. So, I hope he gets
Good.
to listen to this one day. So I kicked his ass in court because he was trying to deny me my unemployment insurance.
Of course.
That was the second thing.
I want to fire you, and also I don't want to pay for it.
And I don't want to pay for it. Now, and the other thing was WRNR radio. The way that they behaved toward myself and another Black person. Because I volunteered, I went on that radio show for probably 5 months, free of charge, of course. They wasn't paying me anything because, they didn't need me like that, but they did give me an opportunity to go on the radio. But I got there and I ran into so much racism during that time. So, that was kind of like my 3 experiences in West Virginia.
I'm surprised you stayed around.
I did, because, and yeah, I did. I stayed around 17 years, but I felt like here this last 6 or 7 months.
God,
it's time for me to go, man. But I made so many good relationships. Now, I got to tell you, the time that I was living in West Virginia was one of the best times of my life since I've been in recovery. And I've been in recovery some 9,000 days now, recovery from drugs and alcohol. I
You
have
know, it
to
was
check
8,000 when I met you. It was
when we
8,000
met.
and something when we met. You know, I'm
When we
I'm glad
met.
that you're still counting, pal.
I'm
You know.
still counting, man, a day at a time. And, my life is taking another turn in terms of this, but I'm going to be frequenting West Virginia. But before we go on about anything else, I want you to tell me how the rally went last Saturday.
Oh, I thought it was good,
I wasn't there.
I'm guessing there was 500, maybe more.
They didn't shut it down. It was supposed to be over 25. We're going to shut you guys down.
No, no, and the one, no, it was
Wow.
now the one you're talking about the one in Martinsburg or the one in
Martinsburg.
oh no, the one in Martinsburg a little different. That was, I'd say, about 150, which
Oh,
is
they
about
still
4 times bigger than it
normally.
normally is, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and it just stretched all. I'd say it stretched. I couldn't get a perfect count because Zaki would know more,
Mhm.
but they had it went all the way. It went a ways down
Queen
Queen
Street.
Street
Mhm.
and a little ways up King Street, too.
Okay.
So it was stretched out and it was silent and it was good. But the honking was great.
Okay.
I mean, the public. I mean, we used to be, I think, kind of evenly divided between haters and
Mm-hmm.
lovers and whatever.
Yeah.
But now it was overwhelmingly supportive. It really was, and people were stopping and taking the little handouts. You could tell there was some fear about participating.
Mm. Okay. People were
I mean, I think
holding
that
back.
was a smart thing that I think when Zaki decided to do a Quaker style, with
Mhm.
the silent, and just the only signs being the names of individuals killed.
Mhm.
That was good. It was very. It was. I thought it worked.
Good.
And it was a beautiful day. Um, so yeah, and I think the attorney Christopher Smith, I believe, the guy
Mhm.
that's been pushing this, he did a little presentation afterwards down the street.
Mhm.
About
Mhm.
pointing out how this decision that challenging qualified immunity for
Mhm.
police murders, basically.
Mhm.
Was a
Yeah.
big move. As a big move, it's getting national attention. It was on NBC News.
Mhm. Okay.
Um, so it's become part of the national phenomenon. Finally, I mean,
Mhm.
it's interesting.
Mainstream.
It's interesting
Mhm.
how it's
Mhm.
kind of
Yeah.
grown, and
It's morphed
um,
into something. Yeah.
and it's
It's time.
listen, that the cops were not around at all. Okay, they stayed
No
away
kidding.
completely.
Yeah. Oh, that's
They
good.
did. Yeah,
Because
yeah.
usually there's one over there parked and watching the whole hour. But
Right. Yeah. Usually they just stay away when the Confederacy shows up, But it's
yeah.
yeah, but when it's civil rights or African Americans, and then they have 20 cars in the middle of the intersection,
Hmm.
just in
Hmm.
case, they have to barricade themselves.
Hmm. Well, it's
I
very
mean,
going
it
to be
is
very
so.
interesting.
I don't see how when they leave the station, those guys, since they know what happens with other other things involving
Mhm.
white folks, right? I
Mhm.
mean, and that going in riot ready is not your first response,
No,
right?
no.
I mean, this dominate first kind of mentality. But you think when they leave the station, they would, what are we going to do? We're going to go shoot some grandmothers now or something?
Knock some old granddads on the back.
Yeah, they did that. I guess in Martinsburg there was a elderly woman that was shoved and arrested and passed
Yeah.
out in the jail and had to be taken to the hospital.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, is
And
that
I
right?
I heard about that from our friend Zaki the other day, but
Mhm.
anyway, and then
Well,
there's
I'm
the
glad.
whole
I'm
whole
glad he's
issue.
staying. Yeah, he's sticking to it, man. Because
Well, he's got those two little girls
mhm.
he has to raise now, which is
Mm.
that keeps you busy. I just
Yeah,
know
keep you very busy. Yeah,
I know from this puppy that it takes time,
I
man.
don't want it, no sir. I've had that enough of that. I'm gonna let some other people, man, take over this thing. I'm so happy that when we made our move, but the good thing about it is that I'm still connected to people down there, and I like it, uh, because I can kind of work both angles with recovery, and I'm already plugging into some groups up here. and see what can happen. But it's just, I'm trying hard not to get too frustrated with the, with the trajectory of this racism. How it's getting to be more and more scary because you can just go outside and get killed, which you could do that yesterday, not just today and tomorrow. You could easily get killed, but people are becoming I don't know, so far removed from any of the moral advantages that we have when we do treat people right. We're coming so far. That's becoming second stream, to people. It's like I need to get what I need to get from me, and the heck with everybody else. Like the opening, the reopening going on up here.
Oh boy.
Ah, man, I'm just like, and I go in the store, but first I look in the doors because you always got somebody up here that don't have a mask on, or they're
Right.
all, just people are used to being crowded
Right.
into one place.
Yeah, they are.
So those little X's and social distancing stuff, uh, people are not keeping their distance. But what it's doing is creating more jobs because you got to have somebody standing in the floor and saying, "Sir, can you get back to where you're supposed to be?"
Yeah, right. I know. Right. I mean, you have
And
to.
so that happens a lot, and then people talk back. Who are you?
Yeah, right. To tell me what to do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I stay away. And then you
Oh,
got all these language barriers going on up here, man. But
I fear you have a collision going on that's so
wow,
profound that we don't know how it's
we
going
don't
to end.
know. We don't know, man.
I know one thing, that if it doesn't somehow turn out to get rid of remove Trump from office, that there is no hope for any resolution on any
And
front.
and
Nothing.
you look at this guy, man, and you start playing the things back. He switched gears, he switched tracks so much,
Right.
to kind of. But when he switches a track, he's throwing somebody under that.
Oh
he's
yeah,
throwing
yeah, right,
somebody under
right.
that train.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I believe it was a horrible situation, but we're gonna make sure law and order gets taken care of. I mean, it doesn't get any
Yeah.
more highlighted.
No,
You don't
it's
have to keep
plain.
saying, yeah, maybe he's going through a phase, or
Oh no.
maybe he's getting old. No, this dude is hate. This dude has hate, and he has placed himself so far above any responsibility for anything that he says or does that it's just gotten to be. It's beginning to sound like the truth.
Well, he's losing. His poll numbers are going down.
Yeah, but he's still the president.
But he is still the president, and he's going to try. I mean, he's going to try to mess that election up. Okay?
That's like,
we know this already, right?
if you can't
there's
have
no
her, if I can't have her, you ain't nobody gonna have her. He sounds like a jealous, raged husband or something.
And he's got these
everybody.
stormtroopers running around armed in public.
And they have this ideology. I'm telling you, I'm just doing my job. Yours is not to reason why. Yours is to do or die. And then you got people coming out of the military. They couldn't make it in the military or some other places, so they go get on the police force.
Yeah.
So they need to weed them out. The police officers are starting to quit. So
I don't think they are going. I don't think they are going to weed them out.
I don't think they are not. They are not going to. We're going to have to weed them out. But it's the fact that we're doing it in a pile of our own blood.
And plus, it's systematic, right? Look, the woman that was in Atlanta, who was the police chief in Atlanta, was a liberal woman, as police chiefs go. She marched with the first protest over George Floyd. Right. And yet her guy went out and just killed somebody.
He killed somebody.
And, plus she ended up using those rubber bullets, letting them use those rubber bullets. And that put a few people in the hospital, right? Right. I mean, so.
And how many people know about that?
And she resigned.
Yeah, she got
away. And now she has to resign. But I mean, she's probably, on the scale of things, part of the reform rather than the the worst, right? And
Mhm.
yet, she can't do anything about it. I mean, she probably didn't order that. That's just the culture in that
That's
department,
the
right?
culture, and they
And
could get
the
away with it.
training and the
Yeah,
attitudes and and
they can get away with it.
they've gotten away, but the fact that she had to resign, now
So abruptly.
is that going to make the reformers stronger or weaker in the existing police forces, right? Not clear.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
might
that
work
is
out either
very
way.
unclear.
That could
That is
work out
very
two
unclear.
ways,
It is
and
very. I mean, it's filtering over into the football, everything. A guy on the college football team, he came out and made this little statement. But I mean, he should have did it yesterday. Uh,
yeah, right.
it's never too late, but don't come out trying to act like you just realized what the hell was
Right.
going on. No, you heard it, but you just tuned it out. And so those are the people who we got to weed out. You're in leadership, and some things come up that's on your watch, then you got to take responsibility for it and move aside, or either get an opportunity to rectify. But you can't rectify murder. You cannot yet rectify. You can't. There's no reasonable nothing that says that a man wielding a stun, a taser. They keep calling it a gun. It just looks like a gun. It's a taser. But when you call it a gun, it makes it look like the individual fleeing was firing a gun at the police.
Yeah.
Now
right,
the
yeah.
reach of the taser, it clearly shown on the film, but they have to do it by the book.
Yeah.
It was further. It was to the point where it couldn't have reached him anyway. It couldn't have touched the police officer.
Now the guy was running away,
He
obviously.
was running away, and the guy and the policeman was reaching for his revolver before he turned around and pointed the taser.
Yeah, right.
He was reaching for his revolver. Now, when he shot the taser, which did nothing, that's when the policeman fired the shots. Bam, 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 whatever, how many, and shot him and hit him in the back. So if you're thinking that you can shoot somebody in the back and you know what a bullet does to a person's body.
Yeah.
You can shoot. So that means that beyond, if you go after the shooting, his expectations was that he was going to get away with this. He's not going to shoot somebody thinking that he's going to prison. He's shooting somebody thinking that he's not going to go to prison, that it's going to be okay after a while. And it might. It has been okay after a while for how many? 20 bodies? 20? How
Most
many?
of the, probably a couple hundred years,
And in 2020, John, there's been, I think, three or four murders already of young black men.
Probably more.
In this year alone.
Whatever you know about, there's more. Because they don't report them all.
They don't report them all. Yeah, because look at the Tulsa, Oklahoma thing that's coming up. What the controversy around that. Look at the Tulsa, the Black Wall Street.
Right, have a Nazi hold a rally on Juneteenth. Yeah, right.
And it's still going on. 2020 is happening, but it's just that, everybody does not hear about it all the time. And when we hear about some of the stuff, it's months and months and months later. And the people who are committing these atrocities are giving they're giving opportunity to walk the streets.
Yeah.
Whereas if I was to go out, I guess because I'm not just a person and did anything to anybody, I'd spend the rest of my life in jail. I don't even have to kill them as a black man. I have to, if I do certain things, I'm looking to stay in prison for the rest of my life.
Absolutely.
And fight my way out. They'll throw me in there and they'll say, well, okay, we put you in here. Now you got to find your way out. And so that is the thing. And I think that all of the conversation that goes around systematic racism and what has gone on over the years, people would dismiss it as an overreaction. And now we see on the backs and the blood and the sweat of so many black men that it was not an overreaction. People people were screaming the whole time, "Get your knee off my neck. I can't breathe. Let me go." Hands up.
Right.
My name is Trey. Just on and all this cliche and conversations around it. And then you go and do the same thing again. So it's time to cultivate the soil.
In South Africa, I believe the ultimate remedy, well, of course, for a while, the remedy was shoot back.
Shoot back.
I mean, the African National Congress had I believe, a military like apparatus that was associated with Winnie Mandela. All right, I think she ran it. While her husband was in prison. But but of course, that's just like part of the rebellion, right? I mean, you're not. It doesn't actually solve anything. It just its intent is to destabilize whatever is going on now. We're going to make it break. Okay, I mean, you get to that point, right? I mean, where we don't have the power politically, we don't have the vote,
right?
We don't even have any rights, and so when your machine comes through our neighborhood, we're going to make sure it breaks down.
It breaks down,
and doesn't get anything done. Okay, which is better than what it was planning on doing. There's that kind of attitude that starts to develop. Okay, but the actual resolution, I believe, was after the anti-apartheid movement was victorious. Then the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, to tell the truth about the history of murders and oppression and the unbelievable violence that was periodically unleashed by the apartheid, the Afrikaner regime, right? And the deal is that if you were a offender, you could avoid standing trial under the Mandela government, okay, if you told the truth.
If you told the truth.
On the record.
Good luck with that.
Well, they did.
They did tell the truth?
Well, sure. Now, once the government is, the people you put in prison, and do you want to go to trial under that government? I don't think so. Okay. I mean, because I think the penalty would have been severe.
Yeah.
But so you have a choice, and this was the Bishop Tutu concept, right? Of we're going to make you tell the truth. And so the history is clear. And that I'm not South African, and I've heard from friends that was a more or less successful thing, because what was the purpose of it? Well, the purpose of it was we're going to have an anti-apartheid government. Is every white interest, are they all going to, we have to have two different countries now, or everybody have to leave, somebody have to leave, there's going to be vengeance all the way down the road, that kind of thing, and you had to find a way that some middle ground where you could still live together in the same country, but change the structure, or try to. And that was an interesting concept, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission there. Okay, yeah, you may hate each other, but I got you to tell the truth about what you did. And
what was done? What was the outcome so far?
It's been mixed, right? I mean, obviously they have a tough time. They have the whole, the fact that people used to work in like mining and other resource industries mostly, but then have to return off seasons, right, to their homelands where they were supposedly only allowed to live, right? And then they would travel and then live in these, I believe, these big compounds, and some of them in tents, right? While they were near the industrial area, right, or coming to the city. So they didn't actually live in the city. They lived in these homelands officially. So now apartheid ends, and now everybody, nobody has to stay anywhere, but you come to the city, and you know, well, you compare it to Malaysia, right, which had a
Mhm.
similar problem,
Mhm.
and they had a when the big depression takes place or the cycles in the business
Mm.
cycle, people go back to doing informal work, like they mow lawns for people, they take
Uh-huh.
care of things, all this. But in South Africa, you know, you didn't really have that background, right? You had people that used to come
Mm.
into the city, go back, come in, go
Mhm.
back,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
now they're all there, and there's no, you know, what's everybody supposed to do? And then some Western economist gives them a bright idea. Well, you know, you should just do what the rest of the Western world's doing. You invest in high tech, right? And you know,
Mhm. Mhm.
well, that doesn't work. You know, in a country where you're starting at an educational level of 8th grade. Are you kidding me? I mean, that economy that you're just handing over money to a bunch of white folks finally right then because they're the only ones that are going to have finished enough school to do it.
To do it, to even put the
You
thing
know,
together. That's right. Make them
and
work.
instead instead of doing that, I remember a great economist named Danny Roderick, good guy by the way. You know, he's one of the guys that he knew Mandela, right? And
Mm.
how do you fix this? Okay, and he told him right out. Forget about the high tech, do manufacturing. That will train your workforce. This generation will get more skilled. The next generation will be, if you get public
Mhm.
education
Mhm.
going at the
Mhm.
same time, they'll be ready to advance. Okay. But right now, you know, you need manufacturing.
Mhm.
Okay. Because that's what, you know, if you
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
go from underdevelopment to development,
That's
you know,
the engine. Yeah.
every other country has gone that path. I mean, every
Mhm.
European country went that path. That's how,
Industrial.
you
Mhm.
know, yeah, you got people that were farmers and couldn't read. They had to learn how to read to perform
Yeah.
machines, you know,
Yeah.
and run machines and to
Mhm.
coordinate
Mhm.
socially in a big factory. And, you know, I mean, and of course, there were all kinds of collisions over
Mhm.
income and wages. But when you're sitting there with, you know, like in Flint, Michigan, with 40,000 workers,
Yeah.
their hands on 50% of your capital, okay, and when they remove those hands, pal, you are at their mercy.
There you go. That's right.
And so you
Mhm.
that's a sense of power, right? That you can get once
Mhm.
everybody wakes up a
Mhm.
little bit and says, you know, this we
Mm.
don't, you know.
Wake up, everybody! No more
Yeah.
sleeping in
That's
bed.
right, man.
Hey, yeah, it's gonna be a pleasant outcome for the day, I believe. But there's been a lot of I don't know, a lot of mistakes that have been made in the last couple of months. And the police chief down in Martinsburg, who's the new guy now?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't heard, but anyway, he certainly stayed away on Sunday.
I
I mean
know.
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah,
Maury, did
Saturday.
Maury show up?
Oh shit, no,
Maury
he's gone.
Richards?
He's gone. He's now
He's
back with his alt right, you know, whatever thing.
Isn't that something? What about the mayor, the old mayor? Where's he?
Well, you know, I mean, if it all comes out in some hearing, I mean, I figure he's going to go to jail.
The little
He's
guy?
he's got to be the one that okayed it all, the cover up. He has to be.
Oh,
He's the
that's
boss of the.
mayor
I
of
mean,
Martinsburg.
maybe it was above him. It might have been above him. Okay, but what's
Hmm.
above a town? That mean you have to ask Senator Manchin or Judge Grow
Yeah. What
or
about Kevin Knowles? You hear anything about
or whoever. Oh, yeah, people on the county commission, maybe county council.
what's going on with that part?
Oh,
How
I
did
don't.
it turn out in Charlestown, in Jefferson County?
And
Did
Jefferson
they
County was
change
pretty good.
anything?
There was, but well, as you know, there were about 500 people out there in the, you know, the main plaza there at
Hmm.
Charlestown, and you know, Reverend Lyles kept it very moral, right? You know, racism is evil.
Yeah,
Jesus, you
but
know, I don't. You have to be. It was
we don't
very,
heard that before. Yeah, we
very
don't.
Jesus oriented, you know. But
And you know what? And see, that's the thing. That's why where we at now, right now. You know, because we've been turning the other cheek. You know, and my cheeks are blood red now. I can't take
I
no
hear you,
more
but
smacking.
there's
You
a
know,
little.
smack
Well,
me.
he was kind of militant on it. I mean, I thought he maybe. I mean, I've heard him do this before a number of times. And of course, he's, you know, a connected guy, I think, with the leadership of the NAA and with, because
Mhm.
he was the, wasn't he a major priest down there in DC
in
for a
DC,
while.
yeah.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so but he did it. I mean, for him, I thought he did a great job. Actually,
Yes.
I mean, I thought he roused the crowd, but the young women that came after him,
Yeah, them was the one that put the fire in there.
man, they were great. They were unbelievable.
saw
They were
that.
really good.
Mhm.
Okay. And that one
Who was
woman,
that?
she only looked about 25 years old, but man,
Very young.
she
Yeah.
practiced. That she had the perfect length, the perfect cadence, right?
Yeah.
The perfect message. She could sing in the middle
And
of
she
it, and it
wasn't
was beautiful.
stumbling. That's right. It was
No, man. She sang beautifully.
Mhm.
And it was, and just came to a rousing end. I mean, it was like a performance, right? It was good. She was good.
Yeah, it was very inspiring. It really was at that time.
And then
Sammy didn't get to talk at all, huh?
well, I'm still looking into that one. I don't quite understand who did that.
Mm.
Um,
Wow. So
I'm not quite sure how that happened. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me because she's the delegate, for Christ's sake.
yeah.
And she's the first, only African American I know of that's been elected around here ever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except
I mean, maybe I
Jill
can't
Upson.
Oh, Jill Upson. Okay, I'm
Jill
sorry.
Upson, yeah. So that just goes to show how nondescript Jill was.
Well, yeah, she was something else, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever go into her restaurant?
No.
Oh,
Where was it?
Oh, it's up there near the diner. She had a thing going. It was
Oh, it's no longer there?
No, she gave it up when she got political, and I think someone gave her. She got a better opportunity. She got a better offer. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, she followed money.
Anyway, but no, I don't. Sammy, plus she's the president of the Labor Council, and somebody I heard that secondhand that George. What's George's last name?
George. Well, yeah, I know.
Rutherford. George Rutherford. Rutherford.
Yeah.
I mean, he said that concerns have been raised about having politicians there, but the mayor was there.
Yeah, politicians and everybody in the.
And I'm glad he was there, and I'm glad he decided to speak at the rally, but he was unable to use the word murder.
Oh.
So
that's the kind of thing.
It's like you ordered a biscuit with honey and somebody put peanut butter on it. I don't know.
Put peanut butter in it. You just go ahead with it.
It's okay, but it wasn't what you asked for.
And we're not gonna let anybody know. It's like the just keep it to yourself. It's like the preacher, the preacher was preaching and he was giving a powerful sermon, and always in the front of the church, there's some sister with really big boobs, and she got the Holy Ghost in there, and he was preaching. And she jumped up and she started screaming for Jesus and jumping up and down, and then breasts was going up and down, and a $100 bill flew out of her bosom.
Oh God!
But she didn't see a $100 bill flew out of her bosom. And one of the deacons saw it, and the preacher saw it at the same time. And so the preacher said, "He who seeth and knoweth shall keepeth, and we shall divideth later." And so, I believe, I believe that that's what's going on. If you see it, keep it to yourself, and we'll divvy it up later. Even with the city council, the county council, and everything, they're in cahoots, man, and fleecing the people. And most of the times when you come out and speak out against it, some of the very people who are being fleeced will take sides with the fleecer.
Yeah.
Against the whistleblower. Oh, he couldn't do that. I've been knowing him all his life. He's a man of this and he's a man of that. He said money don't move him. And then you find out 6 months later he got a brand new Mercedes or a big brand new pickup truck, like certain ones that I know that's in recovery community, and they've been, people, grant writers come in, they elicit and recruit really good grant writers, and they get that grant money and start chopping it up. And by the time we find out that they done chopped it up, they done moved to another state or country. Depends on how much money they steal.
I remember the first class in economics I took where he was asking the students, well, what do you think motivates people, in society? And I mean, just, asking, you get all kinds of answers, right? Like love, charity, good works,
Hope,
being a success, etc. And then he listens to the discussion go around for a while, and then he says, "Did you ever see a $20 bill stay on the ground?"
It never stays down.
No, it doesn't. That's why you're in this course.
That's right.
You didn't know it already. We want to pay attention to that one.
Yeah, it never stays down.
I'm surprised the preacher there didn't grab down and say, well, another contribution to the
contribution, right. God done blessed me tremendously. But no, he said because he knew that if the deacon would have got it.
Well, he might have been distracted by the
bosom, he who seeth and knoweth shall keep it, and we shall divide it later.
Jerry, you could probably get yourself a deacon's certificate, if you just added ETH at the end of every word, What you think?
Yeah, that's right.
I want us to be as a preacher.
Yeah, I'm sicketh and tiredeth.
I know, just plant me in the God. Send me to Jerusalem.
Make me laugh. I need some laughter right now. I'm gonna be
well, really, they're gonna come pick everybody up, and I don't know. It might be a revolutionary time, pal. I don't know. It depends on whether they can bring it under control. Like, suppose Biden gets elected, but he's still got a divided Congress. Well, he's not going to do much.
Yeah.
I mean, he might want to, and I'm not one of those people that thinks he's that bad a guy. I worry a little bit about his competence.
Yeah. Everybody's getting a little shaky. You see the president looked like he had coronavirus or something coming down.
Well, that's true. Well, he's taking. I mean,
he's taking drugs.
And the most hopeful thing I've heard of in months is that he does not appear to have the military completely behind him.
Oh God.
Which is.
And
could be our salvation, frankly. So.
Well, people are not sleeping because I guess that's what Russia and everybody wants to think or want to have other people think that we're asleep, and we're not asleep. We're just cleaning house because all the images and the messages that they're getting in other countries is that we're having in-house problems that they can use to sneak up on us some kind of way.
Well, I thought when Jim Mattis, who's a right winger, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I've heard him make statements before that, sound like a general who, might know how to win a war, but had no idea how to run an occupied territory.
None whatsoever. And someone else, they wrote that in an op-ed. They know how to win a war, but they have no idea. I think Zari, what is his name?
Zakaria.
Yeah.
Fareed. Interesting guy. Yeah. Very interesting guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I like this.
Well, anyway, I thought it was good that when Jim Mattis says, so this guy is no effing good. Okay. Well, okay. Cause I know he has some respect among a number of the parts of the military for his alleged fighting skills. I mean, I wasn't in, I don't know, but whatever. And then also the Colin Powell, who, we can sort of count on. Okay. But he came out. And then the Army Chief of Staff who walked across that little charade with Trump.
Yeah. He came out and said, I shouldn't have been there.
He said, I shouldn't have been there. Now that's okay. That's good news. It is, because if Trump had that army by his side, there would be no election for sure. Especially one he thought he was going to lose.
Oh my God!
No way.
Arms. They take up arms.
Oh, state of emergency. Can't hold it. Sorry. The cities are in rising. I have to dominate all the African Americans in the country.
They don't take care of them. They don't take care of. He says, "I will." And there is no I. And he can't take care of anything with an I. He needs a we.
So I'm glad the troops are not necessarily going to follow orders.
Yeah. So
and that may be help. That may save us.
Yeah, and I think we still got the most powerful army on the planet. I believe on the fighting men.
If they start occupying cities, I mean, what are they gonna? Are they gonna send out checks to everybody, or what? Or what? No, you're gonna stay in. Well, who's gonna? Where's the food coming from? They're gonna deliver food to your house. They're gonna do all these things. They're gonna
Not even.
give me a break.
Mm-mm.
They're gonna
It's
shoot anybody that crosses a barrier.
It's one guy down the street. He has a little store, and there is literally nothing. The ice cream thing is empty. I don't even know how he's staying in business, but he's open, and it's a corner store type thing. And so when I walked down there this last couple of times, there's always a lot of shady characters going on, standing around. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so I know what this is, and the people trying to survive. And so he's probably selling drugs or something in there, and I'm gonna have to stay away from it. But I see it, and I see where people are going to start doing self-preservation. So it's just making things worse, is what I'm saying. Is that because people are not going to starve to death unless there is no food. If you got food, people are not going to starve. They're coming in your house and get it.
Yeah, of course they are.
So all this stuff that we've been watching on the movies like Beyond the Thunderdome and all that.
Oh, all those dystopia, right?
Yeah. People trying to get in and get what you got.
Right. Hey, it used to be a railroad here. It's a desert now.
So I mean,
I know
it's not far fetched, man. This country is.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, it's and well, the first breaking point is going to be, I mean, that's structural, is going to be the states. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the big states, especially. You got California and New York, whose economies are bigger than most nations.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a tremendous amount of, I mean, huge. What's California's 30 million people now, right? Maybe 40.
Man.
And they got
people.
Come on, I mean, they're going to have to take control. Like, for example, right now, no state has the right to print money. Okay, and they don't even have, and they can't borrow money without what you call bond things, right? Which usually require 3/4 super majorities of county governments to do. Okay, since you're affecting mostly land. I mean, most taxes ultimately fall back on landowners. I mean, they're the ones that become, especially the big landowners, become the basis of these right-wing things. I mean, because they're fundamentally just don't want to pay taxes. And you see this from the Republicans all the time, right? It doesn't matter. They'll talk deficits. They'll talk this. They'll talk that.
Right.
But actually, all it matters is they just don't want to pay taxes. Okay, and who are they talking about? Well, that's the rich and the big land. Come on, that's who that is. I used to see that happen when I represented the GE repair shop in Ontario, California. Those guys made pretty good money. They used to go around the world, right? Fixing jet engines when planes broke down that GE had built, right? Great job, wonderful job. Okay, I mean, you could live on expenses, put your paycheck in the bank.
Yeah.
And come back home and have, $20,000 in your pocket. And so people would, but you know what the people did with that? They went out and bought a second home.
Oh.
And they bought a second home so they could rent it. And by renting it, they could reduce their taxes on both properties down. They'd end up paying less on both properties than they were paying originally on one, just because of the way the California tax law went. Well, so these guys, about half the shop were out, they bought a home, and the way they bought it was they bought two and then rented out the other. Well, guess what happens when you become a landlord?
Right.
You start thinking like a Republican.
Yeah.
That's what happens. I mean, because, your renters are working for wages or poor people or whatever, and they don't always pay the rent. And then, and then if they don't rent, they probably don't treat the place like their own property. Well, it's not their property. They expect you to fix everything, and you blame them because if it was your property, you would take care of it.
And the whole idea in this country is for nobody to make it. Nobody is supposed to make it except the people at the very top.
I know.
Even the rich uh wannabe rich people, the ones who own multiple dwellings, they're not even supposed to make it because the
Right.
country is not set up like that. It's supposed to always be some strife
Yeah.
involved in you earning your wages in terms of being a independent business owner
Right.
or a consumer.
Right.
Nobody's not the system is not set up for us to make it out of whatever status that we happen to be in a way. Because even when you make a lot of money, get your master's degree, you still a nigga, you still get shot,
Yeah.
you still get put out in the street, you still get denied. Somebody in my position, what I've come up against is even after I've served my time, even after I've made restitutions completely, even after I've been free of any encounters with law enforcement for over 30 years, I'm still a nigger in certain categories. When I apply for services, they tell me, okay, you got to straighten out this, you got to straighten out, you got to get that squared away, and we're going to get you expunged. You're a good citizen. You're, attaboy, all of that. I've gotten all of that. I've gotten it written down. West Virginia still turned me down to be employed by the system there. They turned me down because of my past, and I have it in writing because I could not justify why they should give me an opportunity to be a certified recovery coach so that I could get paid for that, to get the credentials because I have a felony arrest. I mean, I can get the credentials, but they don't mean jack with West Virginia Cares. And I think it's a systematic. What I found in the drug court is that there's an unfair balance in the drug court. What I found in the recovery houses, there's an unfair bias balance. And what I find with all the caretakers in the recovery community is an unfair balance. And I'm not saying that the people who have these jobs or who are providing these services, I don't think that they realize the privilege, which is a part of why they're in certain positions. And what happens is the person that's needing the care gets secondhand care. The care that they're getting is not what they're eligible for. They're getting something that's predicated upon a wrong premise, like skin color.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, John, and I'm not frustrated about it at all because I can see what the outcome is going to be if I'm able to stick with it. Is that all of the people who are needing the services of a recovery coach that's able to help, they're asking for people like me because, I can walk the walk. Not only do I talk the talk, and my recovery didn't come by way of privilege.
No, it certainly did not.
So all of those factors to me is a no-brainer. These are the people that we need to have in a place where they can reach folk that need these services. They need it for real, not the folk who are coming in because of privilege and they're doing things by the book in terms of the programmatic stuff. They're doing all that correctly, but there is no passion in it because pretty soon the recovery is finding out is that person is in it for money.
Yeah.
And people are starting to call out certain people's names over at Mountaineer Recovery. Definitely Paloma is being called out. Some of the Suboxone clinics, there's a lot of big gaps. People are still having to wait to get into recovery because somebody's not available to do the intake.
But and not just Republican, mostly Republican, but in other areas, there's no. They don't view this business of solving a problem through let's have someone make money out of fixing it. They don't view that as that's the whole point of life to them. Okay.
Mhm.
And that's what, when they say use the word
Making money.
freedom, that's what they mean.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a harder question here,
Yeah.
maybe, James, and
Mhm.
that is that because I don't. I mean, there are countries around the world, or are some of the Nordic countries that where there's much less inequality,
Mhm.
and where you know certainly the policing aspect and some of the edges of racism are
Mhm.
much reduced. Okay. I think when people, have more comparable incomes, I think they tend to be more generous with each other than if you get these huge splits. I mean, between not just between races, between classes, but everything.
Yeah.
And now, how can we now have a pandemic that's not going to end anytime soon? We have a
Mhm.
depression where you're going to be having 20% unemployment
Mhm.
for God
Mhm.
knows how long.
Mhm.
State and county and city budgets are going to be cut because the tax revenues are going down. All right. And that's going to be across the board, and it's going to be worse in some places than others, but it's going to be worse.
Mhm.
So you have my question to you. We have a state of emergency.
Yes.
If the Democrat gets elected, must he declare a state of emergency himself
Yes.
to address these issues? And my other question is
Mhm.
that you know, in times when things start to get this bad, they usually don't stop getting bad, right? I mean, when you're in 1850 and you think there might be another great compromise down the road to maintain both slavery and non-slave states, okay?
Mhm.
As whatever it was that Daniel Webster, one of those
Mm.
guys, said,
Racism.
that's not going to happen. Okay. This is headed to hell. It's not going to get any better. It's going to get just worse. Okay. Until it's fixed. And there's only one fix. All right.
Mhm.
And, but for a long time, people didn't agree with him. So Lincoln gets elected. Right.
Mhm.
And, these guys start firing shells. I think it was Fort Sumter. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember. Okay. Reading about that. Yeah.
And then after they do that, they start to they control a good part of the army because most of the officers came from the South,
Mhm.
and they have a group in Maryland that's of officers running the militia, okay, that
Mhm.
are total Confederate, and at which point Lincoln decides to arrest them all,
Mm.
put them in a stockade for the duration of the war without trial.
Oh. Yeah, how did that work out?
That was called a suspension of habeas corpus.
Oh,
You don't have a right.
never heard of that one before.
Well, you get to a certain point, and everyone says, "Well, that's against the Constitution,
You don't have no
Mr. President." And he says, "Well, if these guys win, there is no Constitution or no government either.
Right.
So, I mean, what's the point of that? Okay, we're in a mortal struggle,
Mm.
and there will be." The rules, we'll have to reestablish the rules in order to obey some. Okay. The rules need to be rewritten. If we all
Mhm.
obey the rules as they are right now, we're going to, nothing's happening. So
Mm, mm, mm. So what
it's
do we
like I
do?
say, the South African government established the Truth and Reconciliation Commission after they won.
Mm.
And they used dictatorial power to establish it.
So you think we're headed in that direction, or what?
I think when things get bad enough,
You have to, huh?
well, same thing happened with Roosevelt. In a way, Roosevelt fixed the Depression with the mobilization for World War II,
Mm.
which involved an immense expansion of executive authority. Okay. He ordered all these industries, stop making what you're making and start making farm equipment and start making tanks.
Mm.
Well, we might not make enough money. Well, you're only, we'll pay you what it costs, but you're going to do it, or you'll put you out of business. FMC, these big companies, basically Chrysler, okay,
Mhm,
all these, got to be part of it, and then And of course, one of the big weapons that Roosevelt had was he legalized
Mhm.
he legalized the labor movement,
Yes, he did.
which had been illegal before, basically. Okay, yeah, you know,
Mm.
come on, you know, you start agitating in Detroit about unionism, you're going to be arrested and killed
Oh yeah.
unless you've got some
With the
mutual
quickness.
protection.
With the quickness. With the quickness. Yeah.
So you see what I mean? So I think we're headed into this situation where we have to be sober about the fact that yes, we need a progressive regime, but it has to be it's going to have some executive authority to clean up this mess.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be hard for some people to deal with, I think. But I don't see another way ultimately out of it. And we elect a liberal to be president, and we have a debating society for another 4 years while everyone's starving to death and dying.
Mm-hmm. All right, John, we coming up.
I know. I'm
10
sorry for the
minutes
rant.
after.
I
That's all right.
apologize.
Hey,
for that.
I need a rant all the time, man. Yeah, it's no apology. That's good, man. We're a good show today. I appreciate you, man. Hey, wake up, everybody. I wish we could play that song going out.
Well, you know, every time I play that one, they zing me.
Back,
okay, it's terrible.
Don't worry
it's my favorite
it.
song. Okay,
don't worry about it, man. I really miss you guys. I miss coming down to Harper's Ferry. Man.
Well, you know,
that was my morning drive, man.
Oh, come on, you can. Well, just make a trip of it. We'll put you up. You know, we got room here. Okay, man.
Right.
We can stay 6 feet apart. You know, you can. We might put you in the caboose. You can sleep in the caboose. You know.
Yeah, that's right. That's an idea.
It's pretty nice over there right now, actually. You know, Carol goes over there when my friends come over and make too much noise, and she needs to be nice.
Isolate. Need to be isolated.
Nice peace. You know, takes the puppy over there now. So. Anyway, all right, man. Take care. All right. Love you. Take care.
Thanks again. Love you too, man.
Take care of yourself and be safe, pal. All right. Bye-bye.